Welcome back to Couture Construction. I'm your host, Andrew Denny, and this is Season 11, The Art of Storytelling and Design. Every design has a narrative, from the spark of inspiration to the final reveal. This season, we're exploring the many ways stories shape spaces, connect people, and leave a lasting impact. Through candid conversations with designers, architects, editors, and creatives, we'll uncover how personal histories, cultural influences, and client journeys are woven into a home's DNA. How do designers, architects, and builders become storytellers? And what's the lasting power of a well-told design narrative? Today, we're kicking off the season with a guest who knows all about storytelling, resilience, and reinvention, but in a different arena before finding our way into design. Joining us today is Shawn Johnson East, an Olympic gold medalist, entrepreneur, podcast host, and mom of three. Alongside her husband, Andrew, Shawn has built an incredible platform that celebrates family, creativity, and connection. From their Couple Things podcast to their family-made media network, recently, Shawn took on a new challenge, designing and renovating her family's dream home. Today, she shares the lessons, hurdles, and joys of bringing that vision to life and how design can reflect a new season in life. So welcome, Shawn. Thank you so much for being part of this. And we're so excited to be part of your project and your dream home. And it's really, really exciting to see that. First of all, just tell us a little bit about your journey and who you are and how you got to this point.
Yeah. Wow. How to summarize that? First, thank you for having me. And let's start way back. I became a gymnast when I was 3 years old. Not because I had anything extraordinary, but I was just a crazy kid that had a lot of energy and my parents had no idea what to do with me. So they put me in ballet and I got kicked out because I wouldn't listen. I fell in love. They then took me to a gymnastics gym. Fell in love with trampoline. I believed I could fly, which was a little dangerous. And I got hooked. And I ended up competing in the 2008 Olympics at 16 years old in Beijing, China, where I won 4 medals. And ever since then, my life has gone so many different crazy directions than I ever planned. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. I loved school more than anything. And gymnastics has just taken me down this path of being on a very public stage, which is, if you were to know me very personally, I'm very shy, I'm very introverted, and that is my nightmare, but it has been such a blessing. I went on to meet my husband at the 2012 Olympic Games. His brother was a competing cyclist.
Oh, wow.
And we just hit it off. Oh. And ever since then, I've moved to Nashville. I've been here 15 years. And my husband and I have created this entrepreneurial world of social media influencing. And it's been very interesting, but it is a blessing. We have a lot of fun with it.
Wow, that's so cool. And it's so cool that you get to do that with your husband. And so you guys are an athletic family.
Oh, we are. My oldest brother-in-law was the Olympic cyclist. My next brother-in-law just competed in the CrossFit Games. My husband was an NFL player.
My goodness.
It's ridiculous. We're a very competitive family.
Y'all are having a lot of protein over there at your house.
Evidently.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So when did you understand that you had a love for design and pretty things? I feel like that must have started pretty early as well.
I actually grew up around it. So my dad was a builder. He's a trim carpenter by nature. He started in trim carpentry when he was 16 years old. And some of my absolute favorite memories growing up were going on job sites with my dad. And he would show me all these hidden rooms and back staircases and these intricate cabinetry work things that he was building, or entertainment centers, or whatever it was. And it was one of my favorite things I did with my dad growing up. And just so happens that I married a guy whose father was also a builder, and he was a contractor. Cool. So, and if you were to have known my father-in-law, he was as opposite as my father as possible. My father's very type A, perfectionist, trim carpenter. And my father-in-law was a contractor, but just his brain was so creative. The houses he built and created were so different. And it was so quirky. It was just meshing those two worlds together. My husband and I found out that we actually love doing what our fathers did as well.
Wow, that's so cool and serendipitous. I
Yeah,
mean, what a
very.
unique background to have perspective, and especially helping you probably prepare for, building is not the easiest thing.
No.
There's a lot to it, and it's not just snap your fingers. So that had to help prepare you. How has this build journey been with 3 young children? I know that's just managing all of that. Share with me a little bit about how that's been this stage of life, throwing in really a massive build. You guys, this is a remodel. We're going to talk a little bit more about Shawn's house, but it's really, it might as well be a new build with the complications of a significant remodel.
Yeah.
So share what that's been like, just managing the process.
So knock on wood, we're not in the house yet, but my husband and I went into this again with our backgrounds of both of our fathers, and we've heard these stories our entire life of how complicated and exhausting and long this process can be. And we've never built a house together before. We always said we never would because we came from the building background. And so we really went into it just apprehensive and nervous to see like what are we going to find, especially taking on a remodel. It was a 50-plus-year-old home, and we just kept being told by our builders that you never know with a remodel what you're going to find. And again, knock on wood, it has been a wonderful process.
That is so great.
We have the most amazing team, most amazing collaborators, most amazing, like everybody. And we've definitely hit roadblocks where we've found things that we were not expecting. But the way we've had such wisdom surrounding us and how to navigate these little roadblocks has actually been really great. And we purchased, we're going on close to 2 years, I think. We'll be like a year and 3/4 when we move in.
That's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's gone, in my mind, very fast. And I have had an absolute blast along the way.
Oh, that's great. The journey of that process, in my experience, I've seen that go a couple different ways. And the team around you can make or break what that looks like. So on one hand, you can really have a great. On the other hand, or on the other end of the spectrum, it can be somewhat of a disaster. So with your background and knowing probably more than the average person, so you and Andrew have this background, family in it. How did you, and you do have a great team. I mean, you've got Lori Prongepe, exceptional designer. As a matter of fact, I think she's debuting at Kips Bay in Dallas as we speak. And then you have Davis Properties as the general contractor. How did you decide to bring that team together? Knowing what like obviously that helped, but what did that process look like?
So we had a big conversation, my husband and I, going into this project of whether or not we were going to do it ourselves and just do like hire a contractor or a project manager, probably my father, or bring in a full team. And at the end of the day, we tried to like allot the budget and stuff and say what's going to be the most enjoyable experience and least amount of stress, least amount of arguments, what's going to protect our 3 kids and our marriage. And we ended up at the end of the day just saying what we are really good at is going and finding the people who are really good at their jobs and not trying to do it ourselves. We did one remodel project for an office a few years ago during COVID, and it was a great a great experience, but it's just not one I would ever want to do again, doing it ourselves. And so I just went on this deep dive of finding these people that were going to be our team. And I am so blessed. I truly believe we have the greatest team ever.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Who has truly, seen our dream home come to life, but has also like held our hand along the way. Because we've got, like I said, we've hit a lot of roadblocks with remodels that we weren't, aware of, and they've really helped us through it, which has been great.
That's great. So I was sharing before we started recording, I had the pleasure of meeting your dad. And he's been able to be out there a lot and really help navigate this. That's a true blessing for probably everybody, because with his experience and wisdom, he gets to be an interpreter and maybe, you touched on it. And I think if our listeners take anything from this, I think having the conversation with your spouse about what's going to be the lowest stress and what do we have to protect here? Because it can, from a financial standpoint, from a selection standpoint, all of these different things can lead to conflict. Maybe
very.
Maybe a good way to share it. But having your dad involved has got to be really, really cool.
It's been really cool for so many different reasons. My father has kind of taken on a role too with my husband as being like another really close father figure in his life. We lost my husband's father 2 years ago. And this is a process he really would have wanted to have been part of. So having my dad be there literally every day, just like checking in on things and truly being that interpreter for us. My dad was a PM for Davis Properties for many years. So cool. And so they all get along really well. Just having my dad be able to communicate and kind of, for a lack of a better way of saying this, he kind of acts as us. So he'll go there and be able to communicate and tell us, what's going on. But it's been a blessing. We're also doing a family, for lack of a better word, compound. So my parents are building their house on the same property. And it's been cool to see him be a part of our home and then also him building his house as well.
Yeah, so that's so wonderful. And as a dad and having a dad that when I met your dad, he kind of reminded me of my dad, that they are truly acting in your best interest. Truly. And really, just the wisdom there of, okay, I've seen something similar before. Yeah. This is how we're going to navigate this. Don't panic. It'll be okay. We can solve this. That's really cool. You mentioned the term compound. Share with me, and I know that's, what some of us picture with a compound is, walls and castles, but we're working on a lot of projects right now. And what we see is a trend we see is families do want to be closer together. And I think that's a really admirable position, especially to bring to the table when you're doing this building. What inspired that? I mean, hopefully it's more than just 2 generations, I guess would be your hope. So share with me a little bit about the long-term vision for the property and the reasoning behind this.
Well, I have to say, it doesn't escape me that we are so incredibly blessed. So the fact that we're even able to do this is truly a pinch me moment. But I am an only child and I was raised in such a close-knit family with my parents. They are my best friends. I don't want to say went opposite ways for a while. I don't mean it like that, but I, flew the coop for a long time and traveled the world. And then as soon as I started having kids, I was like, my parents need to be here. I want them in every aspect of my children's life. I wasn't close with my grandparents at all. I barely knew them. And being able to see my kids have such a personal relationship with their grandparents is so special. And for us, it was kind of a no-brainer. The closer our family can be multi-generationally, I think is such a win and a success for our children and their children's children. In a very dream world, this is kind of our last house for us. We don't foresee us moving and building my parents' house. We have had that hard conversation of what does that house become someday? And if my parents are no longer in the picture, which I can't even talk about, but we have talked about, and my parents have talked about it becoming a multi-generational compound and being passed on to children, and hopefully just building this very, I hate to say anti-cultural, but it is anti-cultural family legacy place that will live for a while. Yeah,
I think that is so wonderful. And just, why not? I mean, it is just, what else would anybody, want? So that is very cool. You mentioned you flew the coop and traveled the world. So tell me how that impacted your perspective on interior design. You've obviously been to a lot of very cool places. Share with me some of your favorites.
Italy. I mean, I've had the pleasure of being in many, many places all over the world. I made the USA national team at 12 and had to travel solo around the world for 15 years. And it was
Jeepers.
A long time. And and I got to see so many beautiful things. But something about Italy that I love, and it's our family's favorite place to go if we have the pleasure of being able to travel there, is they have such a sense of family. And even the design aspect, their homes are designed around a family. And it's how many generations can we get under one household or on one piece of property. And it's all built around hosting and large family dinners and outdoor time. And even they're just designed with historic and like vintage and like old school things is so beautiful to me. And it's, I think, a little bit of what we've put into our home. It doesn't feel like an Italian home, but there is a lot of like hosting family.
But that has that
places.
soul, the inspiration. That's really cool. You recently went to Dubai and you shared with me how much you loved that. So you have Italy on one hand that has obviously the historic relevance and has inspired so much across the globe. What was your impression of Dubai and their design? Because it's got to be neat.
I am in love with Dubai. I would move to Dubai tomorrow if I could. It was actually a shocking thing. So we took our kids to Dubai, which is the greatest thing ever. And my daughter turned 6 a couple weeks ago. And I said, baby, like, if there's one thing you could ask for your birthday, you know, what is it? I'm picturing like a Barbie, you know? And she said, I want to go back to Dubai. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have corrupted you so bad. But Dubai, their design and their culture and everything I loved the modern side of it, but there were so many like ancient aspects to it that they had brought in for from so many cultures that are like neighboring. It was just exquisite. The architecture, I feel like they're like 100 years ahead of us with like their architecture. And they have balconies that make shapes and designs on the side of 100-story buildings. And everything is just pristine. And it was really spectacular to like see.
Very cool. Very cool. And that was why you were in this process. So did you come back and say, I'm going to borrow this from there in any aspect? Cool.
Absolutely. Like a lot of the tile we selected, a lot of like drapery, everything is so quirky in our house and so random and very like not what you see in a typical, like you say, parade home. Right before we went to Dubai, we were in Japan. In our laundry room, I think our curtains are like Japanese farmers, and it's just very reminiscent and reflective of like our personal life and where we've been. Where we have like our coffee machine, we brought back mugs from Dubai, and it's like the skyline of the Dubai city, and it's our personal home with personal touches.
That's so great. That's so great. So share a little bit, what drew you to this house, and try to give our listeners a little bit of an understanding of what this house is, because having been there, it's really a unique and beautiful setting. But I'll let you kind of walk our listeners through, see if we can paint a picture for them.
We have called it from day one the treehouse. It is immersed in trees. There's so many trees, and we try to get rid of as few trees as possible. But it's a very old home. I think it's 50 years. I think it was 19. No, it'd be 70. It was built in 1950.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's an older home, but very modern for its time.
Very modern even for this time from an architectural standpoint. I mean, really, it kind of makes me think of Frank Lloyd Wright.
Absolutely. Yes. So very high ceilings. It's I guess it would technically be a walkout ranch if you go around it. So it's 2 levels only because it has the walkout basement, but both floors have very high ceilings, every inch of it is covered in glass. And what we loved about it is it felt like an oasis. It felt like something my father-in-law would have built. He was known to build tree houses, log cabins, and everything was a walkout ranch. It had a lot of like ode to him. And it was just quirky. It had a lot of like, I think it had copper walls at one point, and everything was made of brass, and there were so many antiques in it. And it had so much character. When I walked through it, I remember thinking like, this is it. and it's a gem, and it's something I don't want to tear down. I want to rebuild it in such a beautiful way. And we have kept so many things of it. We've kept all of the original brass doorknobs and handles, and pretty much the same layout. It had the most gorgeous 2-story library in it that we have preserved and kept, and all of the fireplaces and just everything. It was this spectacular property that felt like it had been in a family for a long time, and we wanted to keep it that way.
Yeah. One of my favorite elements is, and it's weird, but I love, first of all, did you guys do any addition to it? There's not really any addition.
No.
So it's the absolute original footprint. And there's challenges in properties like this because, you know, it's, you do want to add things and this and that. But one of the things I absolutely love about walking in, or actually even approaching the home, is, first of all, the environment is amazing, but it's interesting because you approach the home and you see the backside of it first, and then you come to this very garden, almost like Californian oasis of the entrance, which is on the front side. But I love the stairs in the home. I really think the stairs just immediately hearken to the original bones. And I think that's one of the neatest architectural elements that you're greeted with at the front door. And you really can tell there was incredibly thoughtful architecture and how ahead of its time it must have been for Nashville. And I picture, I'm like, you know, was this kind of the birth of, you know, and I don't know the history, but it's like, what music parties were here in the golden age. And, you know, because obviously this house had personality.
It really did.
Had to be designed specially for someone that had traveled, that had been exposed to really unique things and saw a vision for that piece of property that just wanted to create something unique and private. And it just is really a beautiful, beautiful space.
Thank you. And even talking about the stairs, like all of the stairs in the home are original brick, and the exterior was original brick, and we you know, patched and preserved all of it. Even if any brick was ever taken out because of, like, we had to take a couple pieces out for beautiful hardwood, we preserved all of it to use as patchwork in other places, and it has been a really special process. But there was something so spectacular about the original home that people had looked at this property before, and evidently nobody looked at it as a remodel. They all wanted to level it and build something new. And I just said there was, if we were going to buy this home, we are going to buy it to preserve what it was. Otherwise, we would go find a property and build something from the ground up. But I think there's something so unique about taking something that was someone else's and preserving the magic of it and just adding your finishing touches to it. Yeah.
When you first toured the home, was it completely empty? Was there, or was it still furnished?
It was complete. There was some furniture, but it was empty. Yeah. It was. They had their tile, you know, all their finishes to it, which they had traveled. There was Italian tile. There were, you know, Italian countertops. It was very.
Somebody's story.
It was somebody's story, and it was fascinating.
Ah, that is so awesome. What, just kind of thinking a little bit bigger picture and getting back to just your story. You've traveled everywhere. You're not from here.
No.
Why Nashville?
Oh my gosh. I am absolutely in love with Nashville. I am from Des Moines, Iowa, the Midwest. My husband is from Indianapolis, Indiana. I lived in Los Angeles for a long time, 5 years, I think. And then I lived in Texas for a little bit for training. And something about Nashville, I moved here in 2012. So not quite 15 years. What are we at?
I'm getting close.
13, 14.
Yeah.
What I fell in love with Nashville is it has the heart of the Midwest. Very, very kind people. It has the culture of the South, which is, you know, manners and just hospitality. But it has a community feel of family that comes before everything else. And you don't get that anywhere. Something I loved about LA was like ambition and entrepreneurship, and you get that here as well. But what I love about Nashville is nobody sacrifices, family. And you feel it. And people love to host and open their doors and help and be kind. And it is truly a place where we have said to ourselves that it is our forever home. It's where we belong.
Oh, that is great. And I echo those sentiments.
Yeah.
It is definitely home. I share with people. I'm not from here, but it's where my kids are.
Yeah.
So
I thought about it the other day. I was like, my kids are actually from here, which is crazy.
Yeah. So, that's my tie. That's the roots, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about stepping into this project and bringing the team together and how you gave vision and how you've seen that play out. And let's start first with working with the design team.
Yeah.
How has that worked and how has that played out? And if you can give our listeners some pointers on the value that having that team has been in this journey.
I owe so much to my design team. One thing I am capable of, I think because I was raised in a builder's home, is going into a place like the remodel, and I can see the remodel. I can see where the new walls will be. I can see where the kitchen is. I can take anything and rebuild the roots of it in my mind. What I cannot do is design it. I know what I love and I know what I don't love, and I know what feels like home to me and what doesn't. But if you take me into a tile store and say, choose your bathroom, there's no way at all. And in choosing a design team, I needed to be able to communicate with someone. This is the feel that I want. I don't care what tile that is, but as long as like that feel is preserved, run with it. And I think my biggest advice, if you are looking to work with a designer, which is the scariest part, is to let them do what they're good at. Something that I absolutely love with Lori is I remember we had like a sit down process where she said, make a Pinterest board of everything that you love about, what homes look like inside. And after that, she's like, okay, I got it. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, if you trust me in your process and let me do what I'm good at, which is bringing your vision and your vibe to life, then I can create it. She said where people kind of go wrong with designers is if you get so in the weeds of like, I don't understand why you picked this tile and that wallpaper and it doesn't make sense to me, then you're going to sacrifice that vision. And she has a gift.
Yeah, she does.
She truly does. And I will admit that like I have gone and started looking at like wallpapers before and been like, oh no, I don't like that. I don't like that wallpaper. And she's like, just trust me because you'll like the end of it. And that has been the coolest thing to see her gift at work. But seeing it now all come together, it is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It is all these little aspects of design that I love. I remember telling her all of these things of like Italy and Blackberry Farm is my favorite place on earth because it just has this vibe of home and like it's been lived in.
Yeah.
And I also told her, I said, our home is messy. Like we host probably on average 20 people a week.
Wow.
Someone is always living with us. We have kids' friends over every day. We cook for other people every other night. And I said, I want people to feel like they don't have to tiptoe. I want them to wear down our floors and I want them to feel they can. Yeah. I want it to feel like they can be comfortable in our home. And I want it to feel like that. And she has brought that to life.
Oh, that is so cool to hear.
Yeah.
And so you were somewhat probably apprehensive and it has turned out just incredible.
Yes, very.
And what... and again, this is mainly for our listeners. What I just heard is you were really able to quantify the value.
Yeah.
Like it just took so much off of you and the results are happening. And, it made it better than it could have if you were probably stuck right in the middle of it.
Oh, yes.
And it probably would have been a much slower process as well.
Much slower. I will say something that both our builder and our design team are very, very good at, which I would highly recommend to anybody if you're going to go down this route. I think it does come at a premium, but there were a lot of conversations that we had to have up front. So, which is a little bit harder than doing it yourself. I feel like if you're doing it yourself, you're you're able to penny pinch more and say, well, I don't want that tile because I want to shave off a few more dollars here. But with both our design team and our builders, we had a lot of conversations on the forefront before we ever started. We said, this is our final number, a number we cannot go over by a penny, and we have to work backwards from here. And I will say our teams have done a phenomenal job at that. They have stayed very true to the budget. They are very great at like their invoicing and their accounting systems and their timelines. And I think if you're very open on the front end with that, then your process is more enjoyable because you're like,
we got this.
You still, yeah. You don't have to worry about.
Don't feel like we're bleeding.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main issues we see with people in builds. That is excellent information to know. And it's excellent for clients to really understand you have to know those numbers.
You have to.
Like ambiguity in this process is not something that can work. I was actually having a conversation with a friend the other day who's in this industry and just kind of looking at the macro environment and building right now. And Nashville is somewhat insulated. But there's definitely the economy is changing, whatever that, and it's always changing. But it definitely seems like there are different factors at play right now, and maybe more uncertainty. And the reality is that you can get results for less money. That's what happened in the Great Recession. Homes were still being built. They just were being built slightly differently and different choices were being made. And they still ended up nice. And those houses that were built during the Great Recession are probably worth 2 or 3 times as much as they were when they were built now. But knowing that number is a level of peace that probably everybody needs to have, because as a vendor who works with GCs and designers, the one thing you never want to do is have anybody just get blindsided. That's where things start falling apart in this process. And it just foundationally comes back to the trust level. So we talked about the design team and we hit a little bit on the build team, but share kind of how that has gone as well.
About the same. They are a dream. Davis Properties, if you're ever wanting to build in Nashville, highly recommend them. They are just so transparent and so helpful. Everything from like working with the bank. They have been the first person my husband feels comfortable to call and say, what do I do here? What's your advice? The connections they have to like recommending landscape architects or engineers or whatever it is. I truly feel like they have our best interest at heart and not their own in the way of they're not just trying to make more money or get it done faster or get it done, cut corners. They have spared no detail. And working with Justin Davis himself and his, John Ramsey and our RPM and everybody, even their subs, it's just, I have never seen a crew respect each other and work so hard like I've seen with their company.
Yeah. And I would echo that. We've worked with that team for quite a while now. And again, just advice for our listeners, when go to a job site. Yeah. You just talked about a huge thing. So for those that don't know, the builder isn't really doing the physical building. Yeah. They are the administrative expert at getting the building complete. Yeah. And one of the things in my history now that's 22 years in this industry, one of the things that we've really seen over that time period is the way a respect level amongst peers on a build site. And you can learn so much by seeing how people interact on a job site. And Davis Properties is a perfect example of, from the leadership of Justin down, it translates all the way to the people on the project. And that mutual respect of wanting to do something great it's tangible. Like it's absolutely there. And it's a contrast to what can happen and does happen oftentimes within this industry. So to me, you really do have just a dream team, so to speak, of real professionals that associate with other great professionals and have created a culture of mutual respect. And you see it play out in a happy client that has enjoyed a rather stressful process.
Yeah. I remember walking through the house at one point when we were kind of putting all of our ideas together and saying, this is where we're going to put cabinets in. And I remember Justin himself came out for this, and we were talking about where we could save money and where we should spend money and to bring the house to life. And to hear Justin himself, who is going to make a profit, he's the builder, say, no, it's not worth putting any money into this corner of your home because it's for, or, you know, not any money, but don't spend your money here. To hear him say that so openly in so many places and say, we can cut costs doing this, and I was just so blown away by that. Is not what a lot of people do. A lot of people would advise you in the opposite direction.
That corner. It's going to be beautiful.
And he has just had so much wisdom through this whole thing and saying, you know, I would do this and not that. And I would go to him for anything, truly.
Yeah. And he's a great example of a similar crossover story to you. I mean, he's been in this since he was a little boy. And has seen probably just about everything. And most importantly, has probably seen those lessons of what not to do as well as what to do. Well, listen, I'll wrap it up with you, but tell me about next steps. And I know you're moving in here in 30, 40 days. And it's going to be right before Christmas. So what are you really excited about? What are the kids excited about? And what do you anticipate that process looking like? Well,
like I said, it's been about 2 years since we started this process. And every day when my kids get bored, they say, I want to go to the property. I want to go to the new house. And it is just our happy place. I've always said, as soon as I walk onto that property, it's like my soul feels at peace. That sounds a little woo-woo and spiritual, but it truly is.
I'm telling you, that's a real thing. If you find home, that's a very real thing.
And it feels like it. And our kids feel so happy and so content there. So being able to finally move in and have that be our new lifestyle is great. We have a long way to go. We probably have another 5 years on that property before it's fully done. We don't even have a finished driveway and won't for a long time, but we're excited to be able to do that with our children and to have them see, and probably not an fully enjoyable way, but to see it all come to light in the work that gets put into it. But I am so excited to spend Christmas there. We'll be moving in on my youngest boy's birthday, and just being able to be in that special of a home is really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, this has been a great conversation, and I'm very excited for you.
Thank you.
To be able to, just enjoy this time. Enjoy this time with your family, and create the memories. And I do have to say, it's very special to be doing it at Christmas. I know that it's a very busy season for everybody, but what a great time. And part of that is, for a week, everything does slow down. So you do have at least that time where it is going to be fun to have the mess going and the kids playing with their new toys, and for them to get acclimated, and the excitement of waiting for the big day to get here. Like it's going to be really enjoyable for them. And then you guys will probably have a minute just to be able to breathe. So that'll be a good time to do it. And let's be real, when's really a perfect time to move? It's hard. One other quick question: while you've been, and are you in a previous home, or did you have to rent for a minute?
We're in a previous home still.
Okay, good. So it's home.
It's still home.
It feels home, and there hasn't been that disruption of having to pack twice and everything else. So okay, good deal. Good deal. Okay, so we're going to finish up really, really quickly with our rapid fire segment. So go-to comfort meal.
Pancakes.
That's a good
Yeah.
one. That's a good one. Holiday decor style, minimalist, neutrals, or maximal festive.
Maximal festive.
That's great. That's especially with kids.
Uh-huh.
That's a lot of fun. What word best describes your mindset going into 2026?
Just blessed. Great gratitude.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a very good one. I think we can all express that as well. So, Shawn, this has been absolutely wonderful. We're so thankful for you to participate and take time out of your busy schedule to join us and talk about this process. Very, very exciting, and look forward to hearing about the next chapter.
So excited. Thank you.
Wonderful. Next time on Couture Construction, we'll continue our exploration of storytelling in design with Jess Weath of Weath Home in episode 142, Designing for Yourself, the Most Personal Project. Jess pulls back the curtain on designing her own family home and her parents' multi-generational beach house while running a thriving design studio. Thanks for listening to Couture Construction. If today's episode inspired you, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And now you can also watch season 11 on YouTube. Follow along on Instagram at Couture Construction for more moments from the show and the world of luxury design. This episode was produced by Cast Collective and Chelsea Rand. Until next time, keep cultivating creativity.